Hi, everybody. Let me adjust this a little bit better. Okay, so, hi, everybody. This is day 1316. So, we're not getting further away, we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the answer, and it's all in God's timing. But things make sense. Things make sense about Richard's disappearance. About the whole Nadal Baim with Bradford Bugado and his family. His family has I'm going to get into that a little bit today because it's shocking that that the CID, the FBI, yada 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 yada, um, will not give us justice when it comes to our son when clearly with Nadal Baim and Bradford Bugado and his family connections and his connections with the FBI, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., and his connections with CID Marlon Soto Hernandez, with his connections with Nieto's wife. Uh, well, with all of them, they all with intelligence. Cynthia Hernandez Nieto, with their connections because of the Hawaii connections. Bugado's very connected to Hawaii, very connected to Fort Sill, where, it seems like he was there when Richard was there, being the distinguished honor graduate for basic training and advanced individual training. Um, it seems like Bugado was there at Fort Sill when Richard was the advanced individual and going through advanced individual training and was number one and was absolutely number one. And that is just mind blowing. And seems, the family connections are, well, we'll look more into them and let you know because absolutely with Hawaii, absolutely with Fort Sill, and and more and more. So, and it is that Washington D.C., that Quantico, that Agent Howell, right? Um, because this is what everyone has to understand. When everything happened at Fort Hood, which is now called Fort Cavazos, the Army CID was investigating themselves. They were so botched, okay, and they were so corrupted that it became very, very clear when Vanessa Guillen was her remains were because as soon as and we spoke to Texas EquiSearch about this when and let me make sure that I'm on before I go on because I think this is really important and thank you everyone and yes it does look like I'm on. Okay. When Vanessa Guillen went missing and Texas EquiSearch, it seems to me that FBI, the CID was so sure of themselves that they had hidden because I absolutely believe they were involved in this whole thing with Vanessa Guillen. At this point, okay? At the beginning, I didn't. At this point, I absolutely, because of all the evidence. And that's my belief. So, it might not be right, but that's my belief. But when Vanessa Guillen went missing, and they just wanted to call her, so my mind is going crazy because I'm like, why didn't they want to find her? Just like with Richard, why didn't they want to find her? because they did not really want to find her, and they really did not want to find Gregory Morales, and they wanted to leave Fort Hood, Fort Covassos, unsecured. They wanted to leave it unsecured, and it was these same people like Donna Martin, right? She was over the CID at the time, a two-star general. Donna Martin over, and they were investigating themselves. Oh yeah, we're so good, we're so wonderful. It's kind of like Sean Bernabe doing that 15-6 and saying, "Oh yeah, we were so wonderful. We were just doing the right thing." And uh, I remember my dad, my mom, and my sister was there, and of course my husband were leaving, and we're like, "Oh yeah, everything's so peachy keen, yeah." Anyone, it's anyone in their right mind absolutely knows with the sexual harassment, the sexual assault, the suicides going skyrocketing, um, all the other problems with the drugs. There's so many drug problems right now. All the problems with domestic violence is up. So many problems, and yet they're going, "Oh, everything's fine. We're such good leaders. We're such good leaders, right?" And no, they're not. They're absolutely not. And so that was what was going on at that time. And people, when they saw it for their with their own eyes in a group, because Lulac was out there fighting for Vanessa Guillen, right? Out there with the family, the Hispanic community got together and got on the streets, and they helped. And people saw it for themselves that Texas EquiSearch, right, was called in, and they were amazing, absolutely amazing. And we spoke with them. My husband spoke with them, and we heard the whole story, where they found the Pelican case. Okay, they found the Pelican case. When they found, that is the trunk that the murderers had put Vanessa's remains in. Okay, and they called off. They halted the search. They halted the search when Texas EquiSearch found the. Okay, the Pelican case was part. You know, they tried to melt it. They tried to burn it, but they didn't do a good job. And so they found that burnt up, melted Pelican case. And what did CID do? Not call in reinforcements. They didn't call in reinforcements. What did they do? They called off the search. And Texas EquiSearch told us that they were just crying, really, literally. They were so, because they knew they were so close to finding her. And they were on a bridge looking right over to where her remains were then later found. And they were just praying. They were praying, from that bridge, when they left. And then what happened? These wild animals were digging around her grave, and line workers noticed that and called that in, and that's how her remains were found. And from what I've been told and what I know, and so this was an accident that she was found. It wasn't that they had called in reinforcements and really scanned that area, shoulder to shoulder, where they had found the Pelican case, because then they would have found her remains much sooner, much sooner. But they did not want to find her, right? And the thing that reason why I think they were in on it is because they did allow Texas EquiSearch. Now, we asked for Texas EquiSearch over and over again to help scan the area of Fort. They said they would if CID would let them. and CID always denied us, always denied, um, you know, because they weren't as sure of themselves, because of what happened with Vanessa. And we had heard through our intelligence that they did not want another Guillen situation. They did not want another Guillen situation, meaning they did not want to find the partial remains of Richard. And this is why I don't think I did justice last night, um, of the topic of finding Richard's remains, finding Richard's partial remains, and the demonic, um, sus- uh, suspicion that we have when it comes to his death and the five locations, and how they did all that because, um, it seemed to be some kind of sacrifice. It could be some kind of sacrifice. That's why the dismemberment of him and these five locations creating a figure. Um, it's, um, it is really pretty sick, and it's so. I think this is the first time I've mentioned it because of the news article that was posted today, um, about Richard's partial remains, and uh, the the la di da and the shh of Nadal Baim. He had no intention of calling us and letting us know that Richard's remains were found in Mexico. Okay, that he had connections with the FBI, that he was an FBI agent, that he had connections with the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM. And also, Bradford Bugado is not just anybody. He's not just any lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM. He's connected. He is connected, which makes you think, why does he even have that job? Why is he even in that position? And I believe he's still there. I thought that he was not there anymore, but I think he's still there at Fort Bliss in that position or in a different position, and in G3. And why is he there? Because it's not a mistake that James Courtney Hart is in the Pueblo IDES. We have that testimony from Leilani Hart herself, that the reasons why he was in that position at the Veterans Affair on Fort Bliss. And it wasn't a mistake that Marlon Soto was, placed by HRC, by Human Resources, in the CID there at Fort Bliss, where he is from. Okay, and I know he's Puerto Rican, but he's from that area. He has roots in that area. And it's no mistake. Even though we have intelligence, um, that absolutely, uh, Tavita Newsa's father was not American and had committed, immigration fraud, along with Leilani Hart committing immigration fraud. And we don't know if Tavita Nusa was committing immigration fraud. We would like to know that, right? That would be something that the investigators would have to look into, right? Not us, just going through our, relying on intelligence coming from out there. And we did get that strange phone call, about Ruggiero, Michael Ruggiero, and more about him. So, it's, the truth comes out. With time, people will get, to the point where they will feel comfortable, they won't feel as threatened, or they will say, we have more to lose by keeping silence and playing these games like Nadal Baim did with shh, right? Than to say the truth and get the truth out there. Um, because, look, we just had another death row inmate executed. I believe yesterday he was executed. They're in Texas. They don't fool around in Texas. There's like one execution after the next because they are sick and tired of these very violent crimes. And this is absolutely, I mean, what is more violent than the murder of a whistleblower, a distinguished honor graduate soldier in the U.S. Army, and dismembered and then put in different locations, and even crossing the border into Mexico with partial remains. I mean, it's so violent. And could they do it? Yes, absolutely. We were told no, they couldn't do it. No, Donna Sifford. Donna Sifford is Customs and Border Protectors, and she is absolutely up to no good. Absolutely up to no good. And we have that other Michael CBP guy, lawyer guy that absolutely they could go through Santa Teresa port of entry. We have the El Paso police um, officer, Lionel, right? Lionel, absolutely up to no good. I think his last name is Gutierrez. Absolutely up to no good because he was, playing the role with Chris Grant. And we absolutely have confirmation that Chris Grant was up to no good and is very, very protected by the agencies. So, okay, so is he an agent? I mean, they arrested him and they didn't do anything else. They let him go, right? The Secret Service arrested him and then they let him go. He had an open warrant for his arrest and they didn't arrest him. And the police, El Paso police, were like, well, he didn't tell the whole truth. He's a victim, but he's not a hero. This is how the news covered this. Sweetheart, media sweetheart. I mean, put in Chris Grant, and you will just get I don't know how many articles. It's just first it's all about his heroism, and then it comes out that he wasn't telling the truth and all this stuff. I mean, he's just all over the place. And then you look up um, the other witnesses, and they're all connected, and they're connected through Dreams Cabaret. And so I'm here to tell you, and I know it's dangerous because there's billions of dollars on this. There's billions of dollars, but you know what? My son's life is worth way more than any of that. Any of that. And these people are so criminal that their hearts have gotten so callous. I mean, just listening to Danae Katzen, she was like so going back and listening to it. It's so callous. And I have more. I have more. And it's just these people, they just feel nothing. They just feel nothing. And that's, that's, we can't let that happen to human beings because it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And so, for what? For billions of dollars? And, what is money? What is money? When they devalue the money, um, and I don't know if people understand this, but you can get so corrupt. What happens when you get so corrupt? The value of your money gets corrupted and it turns into nothing. It devalues you. They just print so much of it. There's just so much debt. There's so much that it just turns to nothing, to dust. And it um yeah, so for money, for um they will kill our sons and daughters. I just and I look at Vanessa Guillen, and I look at Glendon Oakley Jr., and I look at Asia Graham, and Richard, our son Richard, and um, Austin Hawk, and there's Enrique Roman Martinez, And this is America, and these are our sons and daughters. And the CID was investigating themselves during that whole time of um, and it's all coming out. These are not my words. They were committing crimes against humanity. And we have the Secretary of Defense, General Austin, up there going, "Oh yeah, well it was a private matter. My cancer was a private matter, and I didn't want people to know, and it was a decision I had to make for myself, you know." And it's like, really, really, Mister Mask and Shield and you know, cyborg general committing crimes against humanity, crimes against our own soldiers, causing so many of our service members to die, to suffer consequences from a mandatory across the board medication for, one size fits all, but it doesn't fit all, and people are dying and suffering, and he's up there going, "Oh well, okay, please give me." No, he needs to be arrested and held accountable for his crimes against our military and humanity. He is just so evil. I just it's so infuriating because the damage is still going on. And think about those that lost their careers. They were like at 17, 18 years, some of them 19 years, and they were thrown out because they're like, that's not necessary. And I have, there's something called HIPAA, and there's something called freedom. There's something called freedom of my own health, my body, and you know, um, this general needs to be stripped from that uniform and those stars. And then here is, at the same time this is going on, this it was so insane. And I have live stream after live stream after live stream telling everyone this is insane. This is insanity. What's going on in our military, and the assault on our service members in the middle of trying to find my own son. Where is he? Right? And Donna Martin, uh, you know, just playing politics. Okay, how do I know she was playing politics? Here's this 2 star. She gets a 3rd star out of this. Of course, she's playing politics, and she needs to be stripped. She is, God. Can you imagine what she's going to say to God? I just, I would not want to be her. I would not want to be her. Uh, you know, it's going to be between the two of them, but I would not want to be her because she was playing politics with the lives of our sons and daughters. And the day before January 6th, she knew we had our backpacks loaded full of prayer candles and flyers, and that we were going to get on a bus and go to the nation's capital and pass those out. And she contacted us and said, "Do not go, do not go," because she knew that it was politics against the people of her country, and she's a general in the United States Army that is supposed to uphold her oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. Well, she needs to learn something. The Constitution is the land and the people. The land and the people. That's who you obey. Under God. That's who you obey. And yeah, it's wow. It was just so crazy. And it was a, a wonderful, a wonderful thing that we went to January 6th to see, because we saw for ourselves what LULAC and the Guillen family saw for themselves on Fort Hood, which is now Fort Covassos. And if I was the Covassos family, I would say, heck no way, get my family's name off of Fort Hood. Get it off. Get it off now, because the shame of that military installation is so great, y'all. It's so they need to close it down, and they need to close down Fort Bliss. They really do, because it only brings um, negative hurt, pain, theft, death, rapes, crime. I think the American people could do much better with that land, and defend themselves, and just defend themselves, because with leaders like this, who needs enemies, right? With leaders like this, with Austin, who needs to be stripped, with Donna Martin, she needs to be stripped from the stars, with Sean Bernabe, with leaders like that, sorry, we don't, who needs enemies? Who needs enemies? And I know I'm kind of filling all the blanks in with this, but what was happening at the time with them policing themselves, the people saw it and they said no, no. And so they gave the job over to civilians, right? And so we're falling under the civilians now. And they're allowing the system is supposed to, who put these people in place? Who put them in place? Because they're allowing Tavita Nusa and Nadal Baim and Marlon Soto and Bugado and Major General Eisenhower and DES Thomas Kane, and they're allowing them to continue in their criminal ways. They're allowing Fort Bliss to continue to operate in the criminal enterprise that is in cahoots with the cartels, okay? In the cahoots with the cartels. And so Washington, D.C. is allowing Fort Bliss to do that, because they switched over, and which cost a lot of money, millions of dollars, to switch over to not allow the CID to police themselves. But yet nothing has changed. Nothing. And they this whole if you haven't read it, you should read it. It is first grade work. I can't even give it a third grade. It's a first grade. And it's so bad, this report on Richard, and they did not even include private investigator Phil Waters' reports on his interview with Belen Rocha that has evidence in there, and with Danae Katzen, the con artist that is a major, well, they're both suspects in the murder of Richard, right? They're both suspects. And they're connected to 3905 Bliss Avenue with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, with Mario Raskin Ortiz, okay, with Angela Kacherga of El Paso Matters, of UTEP, under Kathleen, the wife of Bob Moore is UTEP Borderzine publication, who is the boss. Kathleen Gannon is the boss of Angela Kacherga. And they're all connected with Nieto, with Marlon Soto, with Leilani Hart, with Tavita Nusa, with Brad Bugalo, with his family. And these, I'm going to, Yeah. So this is, and then we have the Walmart case. So let's put it together. And then we have the Walmart case because of what we believe through our timeline is the audits that were caused by, partially it could be other people too, but Richard was a whistleblower and he was absolutely blowing the whistle on major things, on major criminal activities that were happening on Fort Bliss. And don't forget, in 2021 and 2022, okay, after this whole thing with Vanessa Guillen with sexual assault, 85,000 missing children. And what has been done? And so here they make this big deal. They talk about, oh, how terrible it is for sexual harassment. And yet we have 85,000 missing, unaccounted for children on Fort Bliss. I think that is really important. Please share that. You might have to cut this live stream into different parts and share just a portion because it's so important to understand the level of criminality here. Because we have even Judge Madrano. Judge Madrano, let's talk about Judge Madrano, um, which is huge. And I'm going to pull up the articles that just came out. And we're reading Team Farm Richard Halliday. We're reading these articles. They're like, Mom, look at this. Look at this, right? Look at this. Can you believe it? Here it is in KTEP. Let me see if I can, and it's the one in AOL. The one in AOL is also really telling. And here's Madrano. Here's his words. Madrano intervened as District Attorney Bill Hicks, and we know Bill Hicks is probably not even District Attorney because, look, he did not sign his statement of officer before he took his oath of office as District Attorney. Okay, and then there are allegations that need to be looked at, that need to be investigated for very good reason that a reporter put out there that was also mind-blowing, that Bill Hicks most likely, probably, it looks like it, seemingly tampered with the timestamps on his officer of the statement of officer, which is the anti-bribery statement that you need to sign before you do the oath of office, to let everyone know that it wasn't through a bribe that you became district attorney. That's what that's for. That's Texas Constitution. And that didn't happen. And so here he is messing with the timestamps, but the timestamps, right? um, go back not to before he took the oath of office, but to the 11th of January. So not to the end of December when he took the oath of office, but into January, 2 weeks later. Why? Why did that happen? And we looked into that and it was like, is there some kind of law that if the Texas Senate is not in session or whatever? So we're looking into that because there's something very weird there. But even if that's all okay, right? That's still 2 weeks after he took the oath. Now that's not okay. That's not okay. So with that in mind, think about what Judge Madrano is doing and saying here. Because not only does District Attorney uh, not Bill Hicks have a problem with his oath of office, but he also has a problem that he should recuse himself from the Walmart case because until he took his oath of office, he was representing Purchase Funeral Homes, which is a witness in the Walmart mass shooting case. That is a conflict of interest. He needs to recuse himself. But no, he's in there. He's making a mess of it. He's making more of a mess of it. And the victims' families are sick and tired of it. And they want justice like we want justice for Richard. They also want justice for their families. And Madrano is, presiding over this. And what is he saying? Okay, we're done. Okay, they're talking. Um, I need to make an address to the community, to El Paso, from this chair, from my judge chair, from my official place. I need to do it through the media. I need to talk to the community. And this is what I have to say. No one has ever heard me ever talk from my bench on matters like this or on any other matters, right? It's important. This community needs to understand that both sides have outstanding lawyers that are zealous from their point of view. But I think it's important for this court to remind this community that this did happen almost 4.5 years ago. Wow. No, yeah, that's not all he said. I have to say more. Crucius was not present. He was not present. They're talking about getting the death penalty for him, and yet where is he? If someone is talking about giving me the death penalty, I think I need to be in the room. I think I need to be there. I have the right to defend myself. I have the right to be seen. And yet he was not there. And Judge Madrano pointed out that his court has only been truly in charge of the case for less than 6 months. That's not right. He's misinforming. So he is addressing the community and he's misinforming them. And that's weird. That's weird. And then he says, I'm hoping this community understands that everyone wants a resolution to this case, but not at the expense of justice. So why didn't he order anything? I want to order a mental health evaluation on Patrick Crucius. Give me that mental health, at least he could do that, right? At least he could put out a schedule. But he doesn't even do that. So he's misleading the community and us. And why do we care? Because this case is Richard's case. This case is the same people that is involved in Richard's case. So whatever happens in this Walmart trial and the whole proceedings of it is our son's case. That's how we see it. So the previous administration, then he goes on, we couldn't do some of the things that needed to be done. That is not true because John Briggs was there all the time. Jaime Esparza was there for almost 2 years before. And it's, I don't know. That needs to all be investigated. That is weird. And then what's really weird is that I thought there was a gag order. Wasn't there a gag order? There's a gag order on the case. There is a gag order, and then there's sealed documents, and this is the intelligence that we're getting, that Richard's case is all sealed. That has a judge that sealed it. And, so what's going on? Did he just break his own gag order? So no one else can comment, but you know, uh, it's such a mess, and um, yeah, that needs to be looked into. Hopefully, it will be investigated. Hopefully, it will be pointed out, and we'll get somewhere on this. So, uh, and that is why there's pe- people might ask, how in the world can Richard be dismembered and buried in different locations and found in Mexico, and the family does not have his remains? Well, because the Department of Justice is working not for the public. And as you see it in Vanessa Guillen's case, as you see it in the Walmart mass shooting case against these victims, that the whole mass shooting, of course, is a deception. What happened in real life and what the narrative that was put out there over and over and over again, so many different media outlets, um, is shocking. It's so shocking because, and they'll even backpedal, but they won't tell you what really happened. They'll just say, oh, yeah, well, oh, Chris Crack got caught. He got caught because Patrick Crucius didn't have any soda on him, right? So he must have not thrown those soda bottles. So, oh, he got caught. He didn't tell the whole truth, but that's okay. That's okay. There's still just one lone shooter. No, nope. There's other witnesses, lots of witnesses. And yeah, so whatever happens in that case is will absolutely affect what happens in Richard's case. And, we're working very hard that people will get justice in the Walmart case. The victims will get justice in that case because with this, it looks like it with these lawyers, with this judge, it doesn't look like it's happening. And so I know there's an election coming up, and I know that that will absolutely have an effect on the case. So, um, yeah, I'm really praying that there's justice because that means that um, those families won't have to suffer, and we know about that. We know about that. So, um, please share that information. So, how do we know that Richard was murdered? How do we know that he was dismembered? How do we know that his remains were found in different locations? Well, we know that through Lieutenant Colonel Ali Payne. We know that through Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. We know that through Nadal Baim. We know that through Jaime Corona. We know that through DES Thomas Kane. We know that through uh, Lalani Hart, right? We know that through Tavita Nusa. And these are witness statements and evidence and that need to come out in Richard's trial, right? There needs to be indictments and people need to hear the evidence, because once you see the evidence, like some reporters are paying attention now and they're writing about it. And once you see the evidence, once you put it together, there's, beyond a reasonable doubt, there's no doubt. There is no doubt that Richard was forcibly removed, was murdered, was dismembered, and was then disposed of in different locations. And this is what a civilian CID is letting happen. This is what Major General Eisenhower is letting happen. This is what Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe is letting happen. This is what the military is letting happen. This is what the Congress is letting happen. And this is what the commander in chief is letting happen. And these breaches in security, this collusion, this in cahoots with the cartels and some wealthy people that rather make money off of criminal activity than off of fruit, right? Why don't you buy a farm and grow some fruit? No, they are like, oh no, they're greedy. They want more, they want it all, and they want it off of the blood of the people, of the very people that live in this country, the sons and daughters that swear to protect this country. And they're just, that's just so evil to me. So evil. So, thank you so much. And we will be back again tomorrow, God willing. And please share this um, because you are our front line. You are our protection. You are our voice. And the more, we need the voice to drive them to do the right thing. And, as the names come out more and more, because um, absolutely Chris Grant's name was super important because he is he is not what the narrative wants you to believe. And when you look a little bit at Chris Grant, you absolutely know that the whole Walmart case is a deception. It's a deception. And it was organized. And, that Judge Madrano does not even ask for a mental health evaluation of Patrick Crusius is very concerning. And one thing that, knowing that he doesn't have that, um, it makes me wonder because the federal judge absolutely said that, quote, Patrick Wood Crusius, quote, has a severe mental health condition, close quote. So he must have a record. He must have a mental health record. And that makes sense to me because as an educator, as someone that tries to pay attention to young people, um, I was watching some videos of him and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think he has autism. And then we confirmed it that he's autistic. And what does that tell me? That no way could he pull this off on his own. No way. No way. So, thank you, everyone. And let's get justice. And instead of deception, let's live in the truth. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll be